I've taught art history for the past 20 years. And when I was in college, I was a teaching assistant and taught subsections in a class called The Arts. Art history is my favorite class of all the classes I've ever taught. Art history is the one I love the most. When I was in college and also in the past 20 years teaching in colleges, there's a very famous painting called The Kiss by an Austrian painter by the name of Gustav Klimt. He painted in the late 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. And I've told you I've taught art history for a long time. I can't think of any painting. I cannot think of any single painting in all the time I've ever taught the arts or art history that was a squared painting. Every painting that I have ever seen or taught about was either a horizontal picture or a vertical picture. I have never seen an absolute square. And The Kiss by Klimt is an absolute square. And what's interesting about this painting, other than it's a square, is that the background of the kiss, there are two people kissing each other, and the vast majority of that painting is gold leafed. In other words, they use gold leaf to bring out the color of the background of the two people kissing. And it's interesting because Klimt got that idea when he traveled to Ravenna and was in a church at San Vitale. And they had two large mosaics, one of Justinian and also of Theodora, which was his wife. I don't want to go into the history of it, but you have in Italy, which is kind of strange, Eastern Orthodoxy's church, and they had the emperor and the empress's mosaic on a wall, and those little pieces of mosaic were gold leafed. And when Klimt was visiting San Vitale in Italy, or Ravenna, Italy, he saw it and got the idea about gold leaf in painting. But the backstory about The Kiss is that Klimt was fairly famous, and then he went in kind of a dry period, and people just didn't appreciate him, and it rattled him. It made him upset. He couldn't understand why he wasn't getting everybody excited about his paintings. And interestingly, the pain that he experienced motivated him to do, starting with The Kiss, a lot of this gold leaf painting. And in not only figuratively, but literally, he entered what is called the golden period, because he now became a great Austrian painter, and people respected his painting. So now you know, and my guess is that most people have seen this painting, at least in passing, may not know anything about it, but it is an interesting painting. And another interesting thing about the painting is that it is a painting about two people kissing. And what's intriguing to art buffs, the people who know all it is to know about art, is everybody says, we know who the male is that's kissing the female. and everybody believes it's Klimt. The haunting question is, who is the female? And so you read the article and you can do some research on the Kiss sometime. So you learned an interesting fact about the Kiss. So what? The interesting fact about art history is interesting to me, and hopefully is interesting to you. But even beyond learning something about a painting, what you've learned is something about living life and the reality that pain forces people, if they address the pain, and motivates them into doing something differently to solve some problem. The old saying, there's no pain, no gain. And that's very true. Klimt was experiencing the pain of kind of rejection of who he was and what he was doing in life. And he had to process that. That's a backstory for you and for me. Most of us aren't painters. But it is critical for us to understand what he understood, address the problem, and then go out and do what you have to do. Or the choice is to sit back and say, people don't like me. He didn't do that. I'm not going to do that. And hopefully you won't do that. So thank you for the time and listening to this video and reading this essay. But I want you to apply what Klimt learned to your life. In the meantime, you take care.